Hi guys, today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about fractions and decimals, and we're working on the I can statement, I can convert between fractions and decimals. Well, in order to convert from decimals to fractions, we first need to know place value. So let's review. Let's look at this number, and let's name the place value for the 1 digit here. That is the tenths place. The 3 is in the hundredths place. The 7 is in the thousandths place, and the 5 is in the 10,000ths place. Looking to the left of the decimal, the 2 is in the ones place, the 0 is in the tens place, and the 4 is in the hundreds place. So if I wanted to write or read this number in words, I would say 402 and 1,375. And remember, the decimal point tells us to say and. So let's use this information to convert from decimals and fractions because you need to know place value. If I were looking at this decimal, 0.2, and I wanted to convert it to a fraction, I would first need to read the number out loud, 2 tenths. Then write that number as a fraction, 2 over 10, or 2 tenths. They're read the same way. Finally, I would need to simplify my fraction, and in this case I can divide the numerator and denominator by the common factor 2 to get 1/5. And that's my answer. Let's look at another one. Remember your place value. If you were given this decimal, you would have to first read that number out loud, 32 hundredths. Then write that number as a fraction, 32 over 100, and simplify. And if I divided the numerator and denominator by just 2, I would get 16 over 50, but that's not the simplest form of this fraction. So you might have to divide more than once to get to the simplified form, because 16 over 50 can both be divided by 2 to get 8 over 25, and 8/25 is your simplified fraction. Now it's your turn. Don't forget your place value. Pause the video and turn this decimal into a fraction. Okay, let's see how you did. Step 1 is to read this decimal out loud, 45 hundredths. Step 2 would be to write that number as a fraction, 45 over 100. And step 3 would be to simplify your fraction. And I can divide the numerator and the denominator by 5 to get 9/20. Let's talk about converting from fractions to decimals. And you still need to know place value to do this. When you're given a fraction, the first thing you need to do is ask yourself, can I make the denominator a power of 10? Meaning, can I make the denominator 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and so on? And in this case, the answer is yes. So if so, I'm going to make an equivalent fraction. Well, if I multiply the numerator and denominator by 2, I can get 4 over 10. My third step would be to read that fraction out loud, 4 tenths. Then write it as a decimal, because they're read the same way, 0.4 or 4 tenths. Let's try another. Step 1. Ask myself, can I make the denominator a power of 10? Well, I can't make 25/10 easily in my head, but if I multiply the numerator and denominator by 4, I can turn that 25 into 100. Now I read that fraction out loud. 8 over 100, or 8 hundredths, is written this way as a decimal, 0.08, or 8 hundredths. Now it's your turn. Pause the video and turn this fraction, 2/20, into a decimal. Let's see how you did. Step 1. Ask yourself, can you make the denominator a power of 10? Some of you may have multiplied both the 2 and the 20 by 5 to get 10 over 100. I chose to divide the numerator and denominator by 2 because I can make an equivalent fraction, to make it 1 over 10. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. When I read this fraction out loud, I get 1/10. So I'm going to write 0.1. If you had 10 over 100, your decimal would look like this, 0.10. And that last 0, we don't really need it. So if you left it there, it's okay. If you took it out, that's fine too. But what happens if the denominator cannot be made into a power of 10? I'm still going to ask myself, can I make the denominator a power of 10? If not, I'm going to divide the numerator by the denominator. And you can take out your calculators to do this part. I would punch in my calculator 5 divided by 8. And that's going to give me a decimal answer. But I'm going to need to round that decimal to the nearest hundredth. So when I punch in 5 divided by 8, I get 0.625 or 625 thousandths. But if I want to round to the nearest hundredths place, I'm going to underline the hundredths place, and look to the right. That 5, since it's 5 or above, is going to turn that 2 into a 3, which makes my decimal 63 hundredths. Let's try another. 1/3. I start by asking myself, can I make the denominator a power of 10? If not, I'm going to divide the numerator by the denominator. And in this case, I can't. So I'm going to do 1 divided by 3. Then I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. And when I look at my calculator, I get 0.333333333, which can be rounded to the nearest hundredths place. Now, since this 3 is less than 5, it makes the digit in my hundredths place stay the same. So I get 33 hundredths. Now it's your turn. Pause the video and turn 6/11ths into a decimal. Let's see how you did. You were not able to turn 11 into a denominator with a power of 10, so we would divide the numerator by the denominator. So 6 divided by 11, which gives you 0.54545454, but I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth, which makes that decimal 0.55 or 55 hundredths. We're done with the video. You can go back and watch any part you want or continue on.